And now for the adventures of the white privilege boy. Now, okay, Timmy, Bobby, and Johnny, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. I need you to put your guns down.
Well, can't I just keep my gun on me trained on you for just a little longer?
Yeah, please.
Now, boys, you know I'm not supposed to let you do that.
Please.
All right, just make sure it's unloaded.
Nope.
No.
Okay, now, at least turn off that tack light. You're blinding my eyes. What am I gonna do with you, you little rapscallions? Ow! Oh, those boys. What pickle will they find themselves in next? Stay tuned for next week's installment of Adventures of the White Privilege Boys. Join Mug Club today for $89 annually, or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, the Hodge Twins, Mr. Guns and Gear, and of course, Alex Jones, along with 100% more of this show.
Aggressive.
It's an angry sip, because today's theme is you have been lied to. Now, I know they say don't attribute to malice what can be chalked up to ignorance. Bring up the rundown. Okay, you have been lied to. No, that's not the rundown. That's a black guy on CNN.
There you go.
You have been told that our justice system is, in fact, just. No, we'll go through the jury process, what's taking place with President Donald Trump. You can take a guess where that one's headed. NPR. People are talking about this. We had a segment ready yesterday. I was kind of surprised to see a lot of people, even on the right, but people who have defined themselves as classical liberals, saying they've really gone off the rails. Boy, have they changed. No, they have not. You have been lied to. NPR has always effectively been a wing of propaganda for the government. And I'm going to bring you those receipts. I've always known it. I come from Canada. That's where I was raised, where we had the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting. You don't have to go to Venezuela to know how state media functions. And, of course, that's what NPR and PBS here in the United States do themselves. Let me ask you this. Before anything else, why, oh, why? And I understand it, corporate media problem, especially now in the age of algorithms, clickbait. I get it, not lost on me. You always serve a master. But why would you assume that someone who is beholden, who requires big government to function, could ever be objective? It's just that now, and thank God for this, you have the ability to see it. It's not new. It's just maybe worse, and you can see it. So let's dispel this narrative that, oh man, the Democrat Party left me. Nope. You just weren't aware. Oh, NPR, they used to be objective. Nope. Not true. Our justice system in this country. Nope. Not true. You've been lied to for a very, very long time. That's the theme today. So I might get a little bit upset, but it's going to be a lot of fun too. If at some point today, if you're still watching on YouTube, don't know why, and you see this, head on over to Rumble. It's a live show, weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. You know, back in the day, remember when you had TV Guide? Al Roker was usually on the cover. Just set the time so you don't have to worry about some artificial brain on TikTok putting us next to breasts. All right. Captain Morgan was here yesterday, and then he left promptly. I can't blame him. So back in his spot, who's been very helpful when you see him, when you hear, but you mostly thank him for his service.
Oh, you don't.
Yes, you do. Oh. Yes, you do. Don't be modest. You can watch his comedy special, American, on Mug Club, the first Mug Club comedy special. More to come. jfirestine.com for his dates. Josh, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back in Gerald's chair. Hopefully it's a permanent spot.
I didn't realize Gerald C. is there too. You're a duo.
Yeah.
It's like a TLC show.
Yeah.
And in third chair, this is always fun. In third chair, it's always a fun sounding board. He made one thrust, and I appeared. He is.
Give me some credit.
Okay. They call him 3.5 minute Pops. Pops Crowder, how are you?
Fantastic. I don't recognize that guy over there in Gerald's chair, though. He's bearded one day, then not.
Yeah.
Then a Hitler stash, then not. Then a
Oh,
scruff.
no, there's... People don't know.
Well, he tends to wear one in his private time.
I tend to, yes. I tend to do a little cosplay.
He has the biggest balls on the planet.
Hitler did have a set. I mean, he used them for evil. Don't get me wrong. Hitler's
Pendulous.
bad, just to be clear. I just want to make
sure.
it very, very clear.
sure.
Hitler, absolutely terrible. Yeah. Now, I know we take Fridays off, you've heard, but yes, there might be something with Firestine Hitler coming down the pipe.
There might be. I'd be wearing something different, not this Bass Pro Shop that I got on today. But
Oh,
I got
well.
this at Bass Pro Shop. What do you think?
Did you?
Yeah.
Did
I don't know how to fish, but I got a nice shirt.
Did you go shopping with a gaggle of lesbians?
No, just a couple.
Yeah, I imagine they shop at Orvis, I believe, right, Pops Crowder?
I wore an Orvis shirt forever, and he wouldn't let me hear the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
There's a place.
Drove a Subaru, too, but what?
Yeah, he did. He didn't drive a Subaru. But I did mistake him for a lesbian. Okay, let's go to Canada. Speaking of lesbians, you know about the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Here's something that is... Now, this is very sad. I'm letting you know, this woman is dying. This is an old lady in Canada who's dying. But talk about sticking the landing with her last words. Here's a clip of Grandma in Canada making sure that she's heard.
Well, folks, the doctors told me that I'm on my way out, meaning I'm dying. And you know what? I'm so damn happy that I'll finally get Justin Trudeau out of my life.
Perfect.
Hey.
She's a pimp. We actually have live audio feed of her reaching St. Peter's Gates. It's okay. You're still learning the ropes, Billy.
It was a solemn arrival.
Yeah. It was somber. The bit was they were happy to have her.
Well, we
Peter's
know
trumpet
that
was,
by the confetti.
Yes, we do that
They
by
were
the
happy.
confetti. But the confetti without the just feels so lonely.
St. Peter's trumpet was a little out of order.
Yeah, Billy, you good? Do you need a minute? You good? No, I'm good. Okay, all right.
I thought for a minute there she was going to be praising Trudeau for the euthanasia program.
No, that's why she flipped him the bird by living.
Yeah.
By choosing to die naturally. Hey, isn't that a crazy thought in 2024?
I'm glad she clarified, though. I'm about to go out,
Yes.
meaning I'm dying, eh?
Yeah. I'm about to go out. Well, you know what? Good for her. And hey, you know what, Poilievre? I think it's probably time for you to maybe make a visit here to the show. I know that we've sort of run in the same circles, communicated a bit, but it looks like Canada is going to have a tectonic shift with their politics. And that'll tie into what we're doing with NPR here a little bit later, because they do have entirely publicly funded broadcasting, which means they have no objective news. Let's go to President Trump's the jury selection going on right now. This is day 3, okay? And one juror, I guess, has just been, you saw us, I believe it was yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, where we found the actress, Josh? Was
Yeah,
it?
2 days ago, the bathroom troll lady.
Bathroom troll lady, which we have set up for Bad Movie Lines, where she said, I just can't do the 9 to 5. I wouldn't be able to do the jury 9 to 5 because I'm unemployed.
I can't do those hours. That's why I have my dad fund my apartment.
Yes, exactly. So we're dealing with Manhattan, right? But one juror, I guess, has actually just been removed, which seems like, hey, they must have been really bad.
We've just learned that the judge has dismissed one of the 7 jurors seated on Tuesday after she expressed concerns about her ability to be fair and impartial. That means 6 more jurors and 6 alternates must now be chosen.
I love how they say that as though it's like a surprise.
I don't think they're going to find I don't think they're going to find 12 jurors.
No.
That are actually objective.
Well, let's give you this. This is one of those
City
things.
of 10 million people. You can't find 12.
I don't see
Jury
how
of your peers.
I don't see how anybody can not have an opinion on Donald Trump.
The problem is the peers in New York City suck.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That?
What do you do when your peers are assholes?
It's a good place to have that trial.
Yes. Yeah,
I don't think that's where it all went down, the supposed charges. But
well, here we have. Let me go through some of these jurors for you. And you tell me if these people seem like they can be unbiased. And I've always tried to be very straightforward with you. I am biased. Everyone is biased. I think that you're lying to yourself if you say that you cannot be unbiased. So, juror number 2. Okay, this person gets their news from the New York Times, CNN, Google, and Facebook. Let's look at juror 6. Lives in Chelsea, works for not confirmed, but it seems to work for Disney. Gets their news from New York Times and TikTok.
my God.
It's possible she may have been the one who was just dismissed. Now, let's also look at the voting demographic in Manhattan. You're talking about over 80%, right? Over 80% when you're looking at Manhattan. What is this? That's showing New York, Rochester. That's showing the whole state. But Manhattan was 86% for Biden.
Jeez.
That's a lot of nuts!
86% for Biden. And someone who gets their news from TikTok and the New York Times. And here's the thing. It's a great trick that the left pulls, kind of like making you think that NPR was objective. They'll say, what's the problem with this? What, they get their news from the New York Times? Do you have a problem with the New York Times? Yes. Yes, I do. If someone actually has a subscription to them unironically, that is a problem. You think someone is getting their news from the New York Times, from TikTok, someone who may work for Disney, where, by the way, it is part of the hiring protocol to ensure that they do not share the values of middle America? Yes, I do. I do think it's disqualifying. One juror actually, on their Twitter, they found a video of the juror was recording a video of a celebration in the Upper West Side of the 2020 election when Donald Trump lost. And they showed it to the judge, and the judge said, what am I looking at? How's this relevant? Take a guess. Take a guess. These are the lies that we have to deal with. We all have to act like, oh yeah, no, they can be objective. Really? You're getting your news from TikTok, the New York Times? You live in Chelsea? You're uploading a video. You went through the process. You took the time to record people celebrating the supposed defeat of Donald Trump, tweeted out, I believe the text included was, this is just such a New York moment. And this person is going to be objective. This person would have no vested interest in ensuring that Donald Trump can't run for office, would be ineligible for office. And how do we know that that's the goal? Because those same people you just saw on MSNBC and the entire lineup at CNN have said that's the goal.
I'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah.
If I can help convict this guy and affect the election, that'd be awesome. I could celebrate once more.
Right. Yeah. So you guys let me comment below.
Well, there shouldn't be a trial, but if you have to pick these jurors, wouldn't you just go by demographic? Male, Upper East Side, kind of hedge your bets. Not that you're going to get somebody who's like-minded, but at least less fantastically left.
If you wanted to be fair.
Yeah, if you want it to be fair. The best one I see, actually, is juror number 4, is originally from Puerto Rico, has lived in the Lower East Side for the last 40 years, has actually a family, kids, I believe works in IT. That's someone who I would look and say, okay, this person could be a wild card. This person could be somebody who, Hispanic man, they tend to favor Trump, as we see through the demographics lately, has a family. That's getting as conservative as you might find, really, in New York City.
No IMDb profile?
No IMDb profile. No bathroom trolls. Hasn't taken part in any mumblecore. Yes. Let's go on to something else, too. This is kind of a cultural shift. You know Caitlin Clark in the WNBA? Did you get a good crack there, Josh?
Yeah, did you hear it?
I didn't hear it, no.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
hear your mic? He just cracked his neck.
Yeah, he's got a good little. Yeah, I started to distract you. I
don't.
Just had a little crick.
I got jealous.
Oh.
I wanted to do it, but I couldn't. So I wanted to cut to you, but I was still on camera so that I could do it.
Just a little.
Go to Josh.
Gerald C. help you?
Oh, that was a good one.
Hey, one of these days I'll crack my ears on air.
Really?
I can pull my ear and
Let's
crack
do it later in Chat Thursday.
Yeah, we'll do it later.
You're going to get cauliflower.
Mug Club, we're looking at you.
It's kind of gross.
This is what you subscribe for. So yesterday there was an exchange here with Caitlin Clark. You know, basketball player, very good, best collegiate player, I think, arguably ever. White girl. So,
wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. And look, okay, I will acknowledge my bias here. You know what? I'm going to acknowledge Pops Crowder's bias. Okay, this is one of those where you're like, is there a little bit of racism? Because my dad walks into the room. He goes, have you seen this Caitlin Clark? I go, what? He goes, she's playing at Iowa, and she's just cleaning up. She's the best girl college basketball player of all time. Like, Dad, I'm guessing she's white.
Well, you did say that.
Yes, I did. Like, otherwise, why would you be following women's basketball? You got to be at least the novelty.
Why? It's the story behind it. I was around during the Larry Bird era, where if Larry were a black player, he'd just be another average guy. Here we have it now. Best female basketball player ever.
Yeah.
It's not open to opinion. She beat Pistol Pete Maravich, if you guys are
The record, yeah.
The record of
In a one-on-one, he would smoke her.
Of course, but I mean, in terms of points.
Well, if he was playing against women too, he
And so she's getting all the racial slinging, and Luka Doncic here in Dallas, same thing.
Yeah.
Best guy in the league, and it all comes down to race all the time. That's where we are. It's very unfortunate.
No,
but it's a big story.
I understand. It's a reaction because people say, oh, they really do use identity politics even in sports, where we talk about, hey, how about affirmative action? In the NBA, it's kind of something that's done as a joke. But the truth is, you do see people get a little bit territorial with that sometimes. Some of the commentators out there. Not everyone, of course. There are people who say the best player is the best player. But I think that's also why it's been a lightning rod. You can comment below. Let us know what you think about Caitlin Clark. If you do think that's a
when people get frustrated. I think they get frustrated because they're like, oh, now you want to watch because of the white girl. Oh, okay. I think that's where they're coming from. I don't agree with it, but
But you know what? I mean, it's the same thing, when there's I'm sure it would happen if there's a black guy like in swimming.
Oh, for sure. We'd be like, did you guys hear about Jamal Phelps? The guy.
Yeah.
6 gold medals, no weed. My God.
Yeah. He has wings like an albatross. Oh.
Nearly drowned.
So the term
He's
though,
never wet.
there's been this clip going around that some people, and I saw this from Barstool Sports, saying was sexist, an interaction with a reporter and Caitlin Clark. So right here, we've gone to another form of identity politics. Some are even calling for this guy to be fired. It brings us to a new segment. Is this sexist?
What's wrong with being sexy? Sexist.
All right, this is the first installment. This is
Stinger might be.
The first installment.
It just happens all the time.
There are going to be more.
Because we sit back here and we're going like, why is this sexist? Is this a blind spot? I don't see it as
Am I missing
sexist.
something?
Even again, we polled women in the office. They're like, no, absolutely not. Maybe Josh has some opinions here, and I think they're valid. I think there are multiple ways to look at this. I don't think sexism is one of the legitimate ways. So this is a reporter, Greg Doyle, I guess from the Indy Star, and he was asking Caitlin Clark a question at I guess her first major press conference.
Hi, Caitlin. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so.
Okay, well, let's start doing it to me and we'll be able to get along just fine. So, question is.
And for those of you on audio, get your minds out of the gutter. He was doing this, the Bieber heart. He was saying this. He'd do this. Yeah, I do that with my family. We'll be just fine. I was surprised at the outrage from this. Dave Portnoy tweeted out, Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever career begins with Greg Doyle being a sexiest, he wrote, pervert. I assume sexist, but I don't want to put correct words in his mouth. At introductory press conference, Indy Star Sports, do something about this. Is this sexist? What do you guys think? Doing this? Like, do I think that he was it flirtatious? Sure. Do you see that with female reporters and athletes all the time? Yes, more than I can count. I don't know. Is it sexist because she's a woman and she's cute, and he kind of let it be known that he thought she was cute? He was being flattering? I don't get it. Is he seeing her sexist? I mean, he sees her as less than or treats her differently just because she's a woman. He's treating her the way that female reporters often treat male athletes. Am I missing something?
I don't think that he was hitting on her. I think he's just an awkward, uncharismatic dude.
Yes.
And it just came out like a weird guy desperately flirting with an athlete.
That's it.
An athlete.
He did this. Right?
Yeah. He did the thing. Yeah, if you could do that to me, it would be just fine. He was trying to make a joke in the moment, and he's obviously not a funny man.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't have started licking his nipples. That was right. That where it went wrong.
Part of it, but
yeah, maybe it comes down to charm.
I think he wanted part of that 83.5 salary she's pulling.
Yeah. Hey, 72.
Oh,
I saw the numbers, but
okay. No, at least it wasn't the Mike Tyson exchange.
Oh,
I think he did. Yeah, he didn't bite her. I think that this just meant like as a fan, that's how I thought.
No, he was so glad she was now the franchise. I think, come on.
Well, I mean,
that's welcoming.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but
if he did it to a dude, then we'd be talking about.
Well, we make fun of him.
I don't see that happening to dudes that often. Like I watch football and baseball and a little bit of basketball, but You said it happens in fighting sometimes, but those guys are half naked.
It happens all the time. At weigh-ins, there's a towel. And
They're almost
appear
naked.
like,
Their bulge coming out. Have you seen Conor McGregor in shorts? He is showing that off.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He might be a lightweight in the ring, but he's a heavyweight in the bed.
I know. Good for him.
And I don't hear, but other sports, I don't hear that. I don't hear really.
In hockey, they had to change the rule to give you an idea because men would give it. I saw Eric Lindros give an interview to a female reporter in the Philadelphia Flyers locker room with his penis out.
But where were her hands?
On the mic.
No, her hands were not.
That's the important part of this.
That's right.
It's not basketball, Dan.
Yeah.
It just changed the rule, right? The towel rule.
Well,
Isn't they say, like, you got to put on a towel.
Or they're grays, they call them, which is your undergarments under your equipment. Yeah.
Now, I will say that one, you have a point. I'm kind of surprised that even had to come up. And I'm surprised that anyone was outraged. Like, a bunch of French Canadians, how am I going to do my interview without my penis out? It's make me feel free.
I will say she looked uncomfortable. I think that's where it comes from, is that she looked uncomfortable. It was awkward. And it seems like it's a inappropriate, awkward moment. And I think it's being blown out of proportion by calling it sexist. I don't think anyone's holding her back from anything. I don't think anyone's sexualizing her.
No.
No.
I don't think anybody's objectifying her at all. I think it's just I think it's a guy who reports, he's a beat reporter for a WNBA team.
Yeah.
And he finally has something to be excited about. They have the best player in the league.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I do often go, oh, look, okay, I have a mom, I have a daughter. Hey, I get it. When my daughter's older, if I were to see a guy say like, oh yeah, this, hey, if you do this with me, we'll be all right. I would go, okay. That's a pretty gentlemanly way, even if he is, for example, trying to be a suitor. But, all right, there's nothing inappropriate about that. It's not like, come on over here, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, get over here, you basketball bitch.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that. I don't think he deserves to be fired. That's what it feels like. Dave's implying that he should be fired. He said, "Hey, Indy Star, what are you going to do about this pervert? Like, he should be fired and let go from his job." That I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little
covering
too
a
far.
WNBA team, I don't know how much that can make you, but
may seem like a personal vendetta. Maybe he doesn't like this reporter. I don't know. If this is sexist, though, again, just believe your lying eyes and ears. Here's exactly what happens when the gender roles are reversed.
I'm a primetime player. I came through when it counted and got my second TV. I got one for my living room now and one for my bedroom. So
do you really need two? I mean, can I have one? Well, you're really good at reading people's minds and anticipating their moves. It probably really helps with women.
It does.
Fifth double-double in the last 6 games. Do you feel as good as you look?
And not appreciate that you have a better manicurist.
Yeah,
than
man,
I
the
do.
drip said.
And with all due respect to your significant other, it is hot. Shavkat Rachmanov, that man, gives me chills.
And by the way, before people get out, the point is none of that should be outrageous.
Right.
She's being funny. She's being cute, Sanko. She's a great reporter. It's her job. It's fine, okay? Not everything is meant to harm you or cause discomfort. Let me ask you this. And if you want to say it's unprofessional, sure. You have to apply that across the board then. It's unprofessional for them to say, you're cute, you look hot, are you feeling as good as you look? Does this work with the women? Apply it across the board. There can be no flirting. There can be no ad-libbing in sports journalism. Or you have to acknowledge that it's not harassment, that it's not assault. And then we have to decide, okay, then how can men make their interest known to women? There are deeper consequences here at play. Let's take a bird's eye view here. Somewhere close to 30 to 40% of men under the age of 30 are not going to get married. Why? They're afraid. They're leaving the dating because of this. If a man can't say, oh, I love it. Yeah, you do this. Hey, well, would you like to grab coffee? Without it being seen as inappropriate, guys are just going to say, all right, I'm done. Then I'm not going to fire my shot anymore. Do you realize that with
I don't think he's firing a shot.
No, I don't think he is, but I'm saying even if that were the case, it wouldn't be.
For radio.
Yeah.
Have you seen print journalists?
Yes, it's quite rough. Yeah.
Have you seen?
I mean, I think
athletes?
perverted is like former vice president, stroking 6-year-olds' faces and sniffing them as they try to escape. As they try and throw the gator roll on him.
Yeah.
He's done it like 3 times this week. We can't even do it this week in Pine. The guy can't stop.
Holding the hands of like 6 kids yesterday.
Men are terrified. It's a 50-50 shot, depending where I am in this country. If I hold the door open, if a woman says thank you, or if a woman says I can do it myself. That's the kind of culture that we're creating. Do you want to live in that? Comment below. Women, do you think this is better for you? The other day, there was a woman carrying some heavy bags. I said, hey, do you look like you could use a hand with it? She said, oh, no. She said, I've got it, but thank you. She said, thank you very much for offering. I said, you know what? I spoke with her. I said, I got to let you know, I felt like I was taking a risk saying that because I've had people chew me out. She goes, what? Who would do that? And I'm like, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends. Start
good
policing your own.
To your friends.
She's like sharing.
I imagine heavy bags as being her boobs.
You're an awful person.
Everything you said was so wrong. Can I help you carry those things, man?
You know what I'm talking about.
Josh went full perverted.
60's the new 50. Daddy's hungry.
It's a hypothetical. I'm just...
It didn't help that I was dressed like a giant baby for no reason.
Yes, yeah. You took your pacifier out and said, replace it.
I just followed her for the next 2 blocks going...
A homeless guy did that to my wife in L.A.? No. It was so funny. And then for like the next 2 years, whenever my wife's in a bad mood, I'd go...
Unfortunately, Doyle had to apologize. He wrote a column saying, this is where I was convinced I was harmless and right when a woman I deeply respect told me, but Caitlin Clark is a young woman, and you don't talk to a young woman the same as you would a young man. Okay. I thought I was under the impression that we were supposed to treat women and men the same, according to feminism. Now, I don't subscribe to that. I try and be, there are things that I say to my male friends that I probably wouldn't say. But I do think there is something to be said for this, is you treat women with respect, as far as it relates to respect, with the exact same level of respect that you would grant to a man, meaning it's based on how he's earned it. Men start with, and this is true, men start with each other. There's a baseline level of respect, okay? And then there are different tiers. It depends on the kind of a man they are, right? We don't laud men who we don't know with respect and say, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. We don't do that with any men. And women out there, I think seeing a man treat you, I'm not saying the jokes, sure, locker room talk exists, but if you see a man who is an absolute germ, right, with his buddies, and then, I just really respect women, that's your signal right there. That is a red flag, and that is what you see on the feminist left. The problem is inauthenticity. It's a lie, which is the theme of the show today. If they're relatively similar in how they interact with you and their male colleagues, you probably are safe. That's my opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Pops?
I agree. No, she had those female reporters had those players blushing.
Yes.
They were affected by those comments.
Yeah.
They couldn't answer right away.
Right.
They were taken off guard.
And, by the way, this brings us to the former Vice President Biden got in on the women's sports debate. No, not talking about men beating the hell out of them, which he also supports. With this, this gem, he said, women in sports continue to push new boundaries and inspire us all. But right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. Anytime someone says fair share, you know they're a dick. It's time that we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure that women are paid what they deserve. Women in sports continue to push new boundaries and inspire us all, which, by the way, sounds an awful lot like something he said about athletes with disabilities.
Inspire us all. Are they disabled? Because they're not dunking, so I don't know, like, what...
Huh?
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he undercuts his own argument.
Like that.
He said they need the same opportunities as men, and then they need to be paid their fair share. So they need the same results.
Yeah.
There's this problem.
Well, if they
he
need
doesn't even see that as a problem.
Yeah. Well, if they need the same opportunities, then we would need to, if we need to equalize it, we would need to have biological men compete against superhuman men, because that's what women are facing right now in college sports. They need the same opportunities. Throw some linebackers in there in a wig.
Wow. Just get rid of weight classes entirely.
Yes, exactly. It's progress for the sake of progress. It cannot be consistent. That's where we are. How does Joe Biden sit there with a straight face and tweet out, women need the same opportunities men do as far as sports, at the same time as supporting biological males in women's sports?
Well, he didn't tweet that, to be clear.
Oh, he did. What? So his support for?
I mean, he's got like interns and people who.
Oh, that yes.
Office.
Josh, is there a WNBA team in DC?
Yes, they're called. No, I don't.
I don't care what they're called.
Called the embezzlers.
I don't know.
I wonder if Biden has ever supported that.
Yeah,
Biden,
exactly.
are you a season ticket holder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go watch it.
Women don't watch it.
Be the change you seek, dummy. So here's the claim that you'll see from them all the time. And we've done this before, but this bears repeating. That WNBA players don't get paid enough.
Caitlin Clark, her rookie deal, 4 years, and she's well paid. Brittany Griner had to go to Russia because of how poorly we pay and have always paid in this sport.
Boo-hoo.
She was selling drugs.
$338,000. So she gets in 2025, $78,000. 2026, $85,000. 2027, $97,000. So she would qualify for low-income housing in San Francisco.
What?
Is she playing in San Francisco?
She'll be paid less than the average salary of a union nurse, teacher, or cop.
$76,000 is not enough for someone you are looking to be the face of the league going forward. No other professional sports league would do something like that, and it's a shame.
You made the point that it was kind of funny how they inadvertently.
Yeah, that they expose themselves to how bad inflation is. That $76,500, $530. I looked at that number exactly. $76,535 is $6,535 more than I was making a year ago.
So you qualified for low-income housing in San Francisco.
And I thought I was doing pretty damn good. I owned a home and everything.
Well, you know what? That money goes pretty far in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, it should.
Just to be clear. Now, here's the truth.
At least he doesn't play for Washington.
She's not in Gary. How far is that from Indianapolis?
I have no idea. There's nothing good in Indiana. By the way, this is going to be a huge boon to the economy in Indiana, because what people fail to realize is Indiana is very close to Chicago, to major cities in Michigan. So as opposed to major cities in the middle of a state, like people are going to be coming in from out of state to see her. That's actually going to have an impact on the state economy. As far as the claim that they don't make enough money, here's the truth. The WNBA doesn't generate any money. So the annual revenue, to give you an idea, the WNBA, it's around 180 to 200 million. That's their gross revenue. The NBA is 10 billion.
Right.
Wait, with a B?
Yes, with a B. The TV rights, okay? The WNBA, 65 million. Okay, that seems pretty. The NBA, 2.8 billion. 2/3 of the WNBA money is directly from a joint deal.
There's the stat right there.
With the NBA.
Even those numbers are fluffed by the male side of the sport.
Yes.
By 2/3.
So
oh my goodness.
Let's go on to another claim here that they're making. Here's a claim that WNBA players, they want to be paid the same, their fair share, their same portion as NBA players.
We are not asking you to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking you to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Got it. So that's a huge misconception.
That's a huge misconception.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right?
So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I don't think I should get paid the same as LeBron.
Good. So
yeah, neither should most of the NBA players.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's kind of the best.
Here's the truth. If we're talking about being paid their fair share, all right. She's talking about gross revenue, so it's true. The WNBA, right? The players make about 20% of the gross revenue from the league. Okay, whereas the NBA, they make about 50% of the gross revenue. We gave you those numbers. I don't know if you know this. There's a big difference between gross revenue and net. Here's the issue. In reality, the WNBA loses money. Right? So the NBA net profit is about $3 billion a year. The WNBA net profit is negative $10 million a year. So if they want to be paid the proper percentage, the WNBA players will now be paid in invoices.
Woo, that's lovely.
Ooh, I stayed in Russia.
I thought we were talking WNBA. What was that?
And isn't their season like 4 months?
I have no idea.
Like they work less than teachers, I think.
Well, there's like 9 teams in the league. As of 2018, the WNBA has never turned a profit. Those are the last financials. I'm not very transparent with them. All references are available at louderwithcredit.com. This is the theme. Feminists, third wave feminists, and people on the left, they don't want what they deserve. I deserve my fair share. Do you really? Do you really want your fair share? Do you really want what that minimum wage job actually pays without the artificial inflation that we see by these mandates, either coming from the federal government or state government? Do you really want your fair share? WNBA players, do you really want your fair share as it relates to percentage of the profits? Hey, you want to benefit in the profits? You're also on the hook for the liabilities. How about that? Do you really want your fair share? Do you really want fairness in being treated just like a man? Because I see a lot of the things that you say, and for some reason, you don't get slapped. I'm not advocating slapping women. I'm saying if you were a man, that would be exactly the case.
I'd like to make the same money as Dave Chappelle, but tickets aren't coming in.
Not the same level as Dave. None of us are. And he's a black guy. I don't understand any of this anymore. Oh, wait, that's right, Richard Pryor. Oh, wait, hold on a second. That's right, Eddie Murphy. Oh, that's right. When things are allowed to operate organically, seems that in some cases, actually minorities, are overly represented through skill and talent. They get what they deserve. Notice you don't hear a lot of black people complaining that there's a discrepancy in comedy. Why?
You actually do hear that quite a bit.
You hear from black lesbians. You don't hear from black men. You do not hear from black men as a movement. There's no march being started that comics need to. 40%. Last time I checked, 40% of the top 10 comics of all time were black.
40 games they play. 40 games from May. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe the NBA is 82.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
If it is 82, they play literally half the games and want to be paid the same amount. That's insane.
Well, I just read the other day that they said, let's see how Caitlin handles the WNBA grind.
Grind the 40 games.
40
all 40 games of them?
Yeah. A couple practices a week. I don't know. They probably practice every day.
She's already ordering Mai Tais.
Yeah, can confirm NBA is 82 games a year. So
82 games.
They play less than half of the NBA games.
They literally play the NBA off season. Literally.
That should work out for basketball fans. Like if you love basketball, you watch the NBA, boom, it's over. What's next? It's like NFL, XFL. There you go. WNBA, watch it.
Well, you want to be treated
though.
Just as the men, as Isaiah Thomas pointed out, WNBA players, we'll grant this, are just as skilled as NBA players.
So, Candace, let me ask you this question, because you have a similar skill set to AD, with the exception of, his jumping ability, dunking, and everything else, but...
Wrong.
Such a passive-aggressive burn.
What's left?
You're just
Do you skate well?
You're just as good as a doctor as anybody else. I mean, with the exception of your surgical skills, your knowledge, your residency, and...
Well, Isaiah's the guy that made the Larry Bird comments, as you know.
Yeah, no, I know.
Very racial.
He's also a troll, though. He just likes to get people riled up. But
I don't know how many MVPs Larry won.
He played in Tacoma.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And let's go. It's okay. You want to be treated exactly the same? All right. That's a big part of it. I don't know if you know this. People really want to watch men who can. They want to watch athletic freak shows. That's what professional sports are. Have you ever actually walked into the locker room or been around an NBA team or an NFL team? They are actually, it's almost like and by the way, this includes people of all races. I'm talking about these crazy super athletes. You can also take world's strongest man. They are closer to gorillas than they are to you as the average human male. It's not even close. They're like at least a whole half human larger, 2 times faster. These are people who are picked because of their God-given athletic ability. Of course, they refine it. Go stand in a room. Go to one, and you can do this with strongmen. You go to like the Arnold Classic. Go in a room with Brian Shaw, Half Thor, Eddie Hall. You could put them in a lineup, you and a gorilla and an alien would land today and think that Half Thor and Brian Shaw were of the species of the gorilla, because that's what sports is. It's not about being the same. You pay for the greatest athlete. Jumping is kind of big. Dunking is kind of big. So if you don't have those abilities, you'll be paid like the men who can't do it in the NBA. The problem that we run into with this equality issue is that there are more men who've walked. And I know what you're going to say. More men who've been to space? No. More men who've been to the moon? There are more men who've walked on the moon than women who have dunked ever.
On a standard rim?
No. By a significant margin.
Yes.
I just did the math. That $76,000 is $153, almost $154,000 if they play a full season.
Yes.
I didn't even think about this element of the equation, is that they're playing half the games.
Right? At a $10 million loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that. And by the way, this also has to do with market demand. There's someone who transcends the sport, like Caitlin Clark. Here's the beauty of this. She's going to get paid. Why? Because people want to watch her. Now, relatively speaking, she's incredible with the competition that she's facing. While she was at University of Iowa, she was paid around $3 million when you look at the endorsements. She's looking at an 8-figure deal with Nike alone that could include her own shoes. So there are people who are willing to pay if you are really good, if you are someone who they think is a good ambassador. You're paid what? Your worth. Isn't that what equality is supposed to be? This is where we see equal opportunity versus ensured equal outcomes. That's the issue with the WNBA, and it's the same issue that you see with wealth redistribution, whether it's a socialist country, a communist country, or the current DNC. You cannot support equal opportunity and then demand equal outcomes. You do have to pick one. You have to pick one because they cannot coexist. And let's be honest, a lot of people are just pissed that a white girl from Iowa is the only thing who's bringing attention to women's basketball.
I get it.
She's taking advantage of that notoriety, and she's actually going to be starring another endorsement deal in the upcoming Spaceman. That's going to be a big deal. Good for her.
Oh, nice.
A little tired of the remakes. Ticket sales don't lie. And by the way, it provides clarity here, the market, after exhaustive research and looking at the ticket sales. It's clear what sports fans are willing to spend their cash on. Men.
Top men.
The good news is you can solve the problem of today's greatest civil rights infractions. Just pay for some tickets to the WNBA.
And enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah, get some popcorn, a hot dog.
Yep. Go there.
Souvenir, park the car.
Absolutely.
Buy a shirt.
Yep.
And revenue.
And to answer your question, yes, they do validate parking.
They actually don't.
There goes the revenue
but it's
source.
quite cheap.
Yes. Almost free.
It's amazing what kind of deals you can get out there. It's like going to a single A baseball game.
Yeah. It's the only place where
They're not paid well either.
You can call one of the coaches and say, "Where do I park?" They say, "Anywhere in the street is fine."
I mean, screw it. Park in left field. We don't care.
That's a good point, though, Josh. Minor pro sports, male minor pro sports. That's pretty fun. I mean, you take your family. It's high level. It's not the best.
Oh,
but you can get a dog, a Coke, a beer, and park the car and a souvenir for the kids. And it's a day out or a night out, and it's good enough.
We used to go to Tacoma Rainiers games all the time. AAA team in Tacoma.
Oh, AAA is
awesome.
Right on the cusp of.
You get pro players. I got to watch All Stars pitch, 20 feet away from the plate.
Yeah. Wouldn't good AAA teams beat maybe non-playoff contending major league teams?
Maybe the Oakland A's right now, but
yeah.
Because they're not doing so great. But no, it's a great. Yeah, I love those little games. You can probably the WNBA probably has something like that.
Minor pro hockey is a blast.
We used to have a 4-ticket deal. You get 4 tickets and 4 Chick-fil-A sandwiches on Sunday, which was they're closed on Sunday, so I think they're Saturday's chicken. But it was still a deal. That's true. It really.
Nice. I thought you were gonna say it was a false promo. Where it's like, get your free Chick-fil-A.
No,
and Sunday
it's a real deal.
Like, it's closed.
It's a real deal.
Waffle fries are disgusting.
It's a bad chicken sandwich promo. We're not gonna lie. The chicken sandwich promo with no chicken sandwich. We need to get our marketing experts on this. And here's what you're talking about too is those players are happy to be paid to have an opportunity. Kind of like when you're doing comedy. If you're an MC or if you're middling at a certain point, you're getting stage time. People are not there to see you. You take the check. It's very different once you reach a certain level and you can draw people and you can sell tickets. The equation changes. This whole thing about fair share, it really is anti-biblical, and that's kind of what we're seeing with everything here. And I mean this. We are told, as Christians, to be grateful. Right? And the idea is to be grateful and content, but not necessarily ever satisfied. It's okay to strive for more, because if you are grateful for what you have, but not satisfied, you start with a base, man, I'm grateful. Whatever it is, I have a roof over my head. Even if you don't, you're grateful. Everything else is earned. It's really the prescription as far as what Christians believe, and this is why we go back to you cannot be a Bible-believing Christian and think that you're entitled to a fair share just because you say so. You are entitled to what you earn, and you need to be grateful for what you have. And we see it play out in real life. Those people with that mindset, guess what? They're happier, and they tend to be more successful. Go read books on any of the wealthiest, any of the most successful athletes. All of them were grateful, and all of them were borderline obsessive compulsive about trying to achieve more. And so they worked their asses off. This idea of someone just being born with it, whether it's a billionaire being born with daddy's money in a trust fund, it almost never happens. You'll find some people who have millions right in a trust fund, but as far as the most successful, the elite of the elite, the idea of Michael Jordan's, of Wayne Gretzky's, of anyone of Brian Shaw, who we've had in the show, George St. Pierre, you look at any of these elite people, All of them were grateful for anything they had, and boy, did they work their ass off because they were afraid that it would either slip through their fingers or they wouldn't earn it. How about that mindset? You know what? Have that mindset, and maybe you'll achieve great things. Also, us here, we're very grateful. We're about to go into NPR. But that actually happened. We'll roll that clip again in Mug Club. Rough time for PBS back then. You, Mug Club, we are beholden to you, not to a bunch of sponsors, and certainly not to the government, who gets to ensure what we can and can't say. You can go to louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club, $89 annually, or you can go mugless for $9. You get Nick DiPaolo show every day, this show, Friday show, a whole 100% more of show daily. You get... wow, gosh, it's been expanding so much. You have Hodge Twins, you have Guns and Gear, you have Brian Callen, and of course you have the investigative unit. More to come. We can't do any of this without you, as opposed to NPR, who can't do anything without taxpayer dollars. So,
sorry, real quick. This is a really funny headline on CNN. More than a dozen Kennedy family members to endorse President Biden over RFK Jr.
Well,
it's just kind of funny. It's like even his family's like, nah. Cousin Bob, nah.
Come on, guy. Can you maybe just consider not endorsing anybody?
Go neutral.
Just don't stab me in the back. Again. I don't think I'm asking the world for the world here. Just don't hurt me.
He sounds like a weaker Nick Nolte.
He does. Poor guy. That's shitty.
I know.
That's shitty. If you're his family, just say nothing.
They'll come out publicly and I don't. You know what? This is a separate conversation. Before we go to NPR, that's kind of my code. I don't know about you with your spouse or with your family. Even if they're wrong, you go to bat for them, and then quietly you say, like, hey, you really probably shouldn't have said that. Like, hey, Dad, that might have been slightly tinged with racism, but I won't say it publicly.
What are you doing to me?
You're
burying me twice.
Comment below. It's like if you're in the circle, you're in the circle of trust. You don't go out and do that. You handle your business privately. That's what we used to do as men, and honestly, as decent women. Now everything is mudslinging in the public when there are affairs that should just be kept private. Like endorsing the opposition to your son and or brother, cousin. What a shitty family.
Well, they took him out of the trust. A bunch of them were murdered.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing, though? People say family look alike. That Kennedy, that cast comes through the family all the way, generationally.
It's the curse.
You see one several generations removed, they look like a Kennedy. It is an amazing thing.
It really is. It's scary, too. And they killed people. So let's go to NPR. Before I move... What would...
What happened?
Pops Crowder, before we go on here, this is the narrative that's going out, with the new, Uri Berliner, who wrote this op-ed and kind of exposed the ultra wokeness of NPR. A lot of people out there right now are saying, yeah, man, this has really changed. They've gone off the rails. You've been around a while. We've talked about this. Has NPR ever been neutral?
No, but you said earlier that they're there to do the bidding of the government.
Right.
They're not. They're there to do the bidding of the Democrat Party.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
When Trump was in office, they were still reaming. They were so biased the other way. And now they're just happy that Biden's in and they're doing his bidding, but they're always left.
Let me ask you this: were they also the same way with George W. Bush? With the wars and with Senior and
Yep.
Same? Okay.
They absolutely were. Yeah, it was remarkable. I
want to know.
Everything was anti-corruption. With the government, we have a corrupt government. And then when Barack Obama came in, all of a sudden the government was inherently virtuous. Also, he upped their funding. And Donald Trump said he was going to cut their funding. So did Mitt Romney. He said he was going to cut their funding because he doesn't believe it's a legitimate role of government. So think of the brilliant racket that this is. And anyone who tells you they've gone left now, I used to love them, has not been paying attention. It's a good point, Pops Crowder. They have to not only do the bidding of the government, but they have to do the bidding of the party in government who will continue to fund them. Mm-hmm. And there's one party that will do that. And I've experienced this in Canada. So this started, and I'm going to get to quite a bit here for those of you who don't know the history of NPR. It was early, Uri Berliner wrote this op-ed about NPR, okay? He wrote this op-ed about how concerned he was, how far left they were, how they had these blind spots, how there was no intellectual diversity. Okay, NPR rivals Pravda. All right, so let's go through here. The recent whistleblowing, why people are talking about it, but the history of the NPR, the history of the NPR, the history of NPR and the Democratic Party, and who is running NPR now, and why that's a problem, specifically when you understand the influence they have with our government officials and with big tech, who basically they're the only people left who view them as legitimate. So you have this guy, Berliner, and like any good whistleblower, by the way, their identity and motivation is still unknown. So that's, and then
I don't know.
Then it got leaked, and it was the living twin of Anthony Bourdain, which seemed to surprise people. It's like, it's not even.
Oh my God.
Oh wow, he looks sadder than Bourdain.
Well, he works at NPR.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is what he said in the Free Press. He said, "What's notable is the extent to which people at every level of NPR have comfortably coalesced around the progressive worldview. And this, I believe, is the most damaging development at NPR, the absence of viewpoint diversity." He highlighted a few major problems. This focus on DEI after the death of George Floyd, and some story selection. He said that they constantly were harping on the debunked Russia collusion hoax, even after they knew it was a hoax, and then they just kind of gradually made it disappear. They were actively focused on disproving the COVID lab leak theory, and this new CEO said that she would speak with the government when she worked at Wikipedia back then in order to determine what was considered misinformation. They actively silenced you and actively lobbied the government to silence you and scientists during COVID who said, this may not be coming from a wet market and a bat. That's what's been happening. They buried the Hunter Biden laptop story and the influence. You think about that. That influenced Twitter. That influenced Facebook. That influenced big tech, because NPR was seen as a shining beacon of journalism. It's always been a lie that they've tried to keep alive so they can use, just like using Snopes, PolitiFact, Reuters as an official fact checker, who, by the way, as far as I know, to this day, still don't know if Ilhan Omar married her brother. She did. And then this guy, Berliner, resigned yesterday. He was suspended without pay for this expose. He said, "I'm resigning from NPR, a great American institution where I've worked for 25 years. I don't support calls to defund NPR. You should. I respect the integrity of my colleagues and wish for NPR to thrive and do important journalism. But you just wrote in your article that your colleagues were cowards and that there was no intellectual diversity.
They can't.
And they met you with ambivalence when you suggested that you should have different viewpoints. This is the problem. This is the problem with the left and people. So I'm glad this guy did it. Don't embrace him as a hero. He still can't get past this cognitive dissonance. I cannot work in a newsroom where I am disparaged by a new CEO whose divisive views confirm the very problems at NPR I cite in my Free Press essay." He also released, it's sad whenever someone loses their job. Let's be clear, when they're released from their job. So, he did stand up here, and we do want to respect his bravery. Thank you very much, Mr. Berliner, in memoriam.
I tried to call out NPR, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. They're all lip jobs like Catherine Maher, but they pretend it doesn't really matter.
He really does look sad. He looks like He looks like the guy left on the bus when Moscow and the Hudson defected.
Well, he worked for NPR for 17 years.
This sucks the soul from your body. So this new CEO, and we'll get to her, Catherine Maher, she downplayed the complaints and, of course, attacked the messenger. She said, "Asking a question about whether we're living up to our mission should always be fair game. After all, journalism is nothing if not hard questions." Well, it's something. You can still ask questions. They don't always have to be hard, but I understand the point.
I'm always hard.
Questioning whether our people are serving our mission with integrity based on little more than the recognition of their identity is profoundly disrespectful, hurtful, and demeaning. Let me read that again. Based on little more than the recognition of their identity. Oh, you mean like your hiring practices?
Wow. It's not fixable.
What did she call it? She called it disgusting.
Disgusting. Sorry, disrespectful, hurtful, and demeaning.
Oh, I was hoping she used 3 words that would make the acronym DEI.
Yeah.
Close.
DHD. Do something with that, Josh.
Die hard douches.
Okay, there we go. Close enough. I don't know if it applies to a woman.
You tried to Conan know me.
I did a little bit. It would have been great if it was DEI. Honestly, I would have been like, how did I miss it?
I know.
This person came out and read a question. Well, that's exactly what he did. He questioned your ability to live up to the mission because of the fact that you were hiring exclusively based on identity.
But good, hard question.
Yeah. Your question would have been appropriate if you didn't ask it. This is where we are with NPR. And by the way, this comes on the heels of a story you may not know of a more moderate liberal who was fired from NPR. This is earlier this year for not being far enough to the left.
Good morning, I'm Frankfurt Bellman, and this is NPR News. Today, we discuss our pop culture happy hour, in which we envision a too-near future that we are assisting in creating here at NPR. Stephen King makes a more recent appearance on our recommended authors list, even though the justification escapes us. And Beyoncé defies gender norms and breaks down barriers through the invention of modern country music, and I'm receiving a note right here that...
Are you fucking kidding me? All this shit. Now, after all the shit I've eaten here under the name of news, every fucking Mongolian throat-singing conference, lesbian fucking duo. Hey, oh, by the way, hey, Bradford, your wife's not a dick. Guess how I know? Oh, by the way, this has been going on for so long, you can go back to 2015 when this was syndicated on radio, and we would have to fill a bunch of commercial spots, 16 minutes an hour, because no one wanted to listen nationally to like Ypsilanti Ford. We would just make these sketches. We did a series of NPR sketches pointing out their leftist bias. Way back then, you can actually get it wherever you listen to your podcast. There's Spotify, Apple, Google. I believe Amazon Prime does it now, and we'll upload that as a portion of the lost tapes. I think there might be an installment of like 4 or 5. So there you go. Let me give you some history on NPR here. Okay, founded in 1967. All right, part of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They've grown to over 1,000 stations across the country. In some cities, they have actually more than one station. Right, so they can be your prime. At some periods of time in this country, they were your primary 2 news sources on radio, depending where you were. Let's look at their funding. In 2024, PBS and NPR together received over $500 million from the federal government.
And viewers like me? Oh.
As well. They want to tell you it's viewers.
I didn't get a tote bag.
No. But I don't. They
I
still
would hope not.
They also still haven't solved. Is it muscular dystrophy? What is it that Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah. They still haven't solved MS. I don't know. I guess it's going to
That's
more.
not MS, but
less.
MD.
Oh, MD. Boy, we're bad with the acronyms today.
Sclerosis, yeah.
We're a big swing and a miss with the acronyms. Look at the political contribution. So $500 million comes in from the government. All right, and then the vast majority of contributions from these employees go to who? Democrats. Examples: 2020, 92% contributed to Democrats. Let me give you a history of their liberal bias, this beacon of objective journalism. 1977, Jimmy Carter increased the funding to public broadcasting. I'm sure that wouldn't affect their content whatsoever. When the government says we'll give you more money, sorry, one party, you wouldn't have a vested interest in that party remaining in power, would you? Especially when you look at 1981, Ronald Reagan actually tried to cut NPR funding. Then we go to the 1990s, and you have Clinton, who successfully actually fought off the Republican efforts to defund public broadcasting. Now, keep in mind, a big reason that this was happening was because they were so biased, and they were such a primary source of news, and the rest of the media, trying to take part in this agreed-upon lie, convinced you that NPR was a good place to get, and it actively harmed one political party. They were being funded by one political party as glorified hitmen to harm the other one. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat doesn't matter. These are the facts. It is absolutely true. $500 million, 92% contributions. Carter increased funding. Reagan tries to cut it. Democrats largely block it. Clinton fights off Republicans trying to defund NPR. It goes all the way through Donald Trump. 2003, let's go here. NPR ombudsman, a guy named Jeff Dworkin, admitted NPR's liberal bias. Openly, he said the Bill O'Reilly interview only served to confirm the belief in NPR's liberal media bias by coming across as a pro-Al Franken at that point. Part of the interview was regarding that. Then you look at 2011. Barack Obama, what did he do? Well, he proposed increasing NPR and PBS's funding. By the way, this was during a recession, mind you. So you may think, hey, I kind of like NPR. All right, but there was a record level of unemployment. People's 401ks disappeared. NPR, PBS, They always say this, like with COVID, we're all in this together. No. Really? What budget cuts did you get after the crash? NPR, PBS? Oh, no, that's right. You're insured that won't happen as long as one party is in power. Then in 2011, because remember, Barack Obama had this stimulus bill. It was record spending, Americans were pissed off with it. The Tea Party came to be. The Tea Party was saying, hey, government, you need to rein in, right, your authority here because you're spending and we can't afford it. We don't want these taxes. In other words, they're actually protesting things like NPR, bloated government. If you were to look at non-necessities to trim from government, NPR, PBS, right, Barney would have to be at the top of that list. So then in 2011, in response to a populist movement demanding shrinking the size of government, the NPR fundraising executive, Ron Schiller, of course, hated the Tea Party, and he actually was caught on a live mic in a Project Veritas sting.
The Republican Party is not really the Republican Party, but it's been hijacked by this group that is radical, racist, Islamophobic, Tea Party people. And not just Islamophobic, but really xenophobic. I mean, basically, they believe that sort of white, middle America, gun-toting, I mean, it's pretty scary.
Now, let me just translate this for you. White, okay, majority of the country is white. Middle America, what they mean is people who aren't us in New York, D.C., San Francisco, Los Angeles. Gun-toting, someone who owns a firearm. They're denigrating all of you. And by the way, he was trying to get money at this point from who he thought was the Muslim Brotherhood. He hates you if you have a gun more than the Muslim Brotherhood. So we've gone from the 1960s. We've gone from, 1970, and Jimmy Carter, all references available, link in the description, louderwithcarter.com. Let's keep going here through 2014. There was a Pew study that showed that NPR was more left-leaning than MSNBC, CNN, BuzzFeed, and Huffington Post.
Jeez. God.
That's hard to do.
14 reasons why.
Yes.
Post article.
Think
14
about
reasons
that.
why NPR is more liberal than us.
Yes. Think about, and remember they always go, oh, Fox News, Fox News, Fox News. People are just buying hook, line, and sinker. What's happening on Fox News? Okay. That's one network. Now, here's the thing. Fox News was pretty openly conservative. Okay, now we have NPR. More left-leaning than MSNBC, CNN, BuzzFeed, HuffPo. Okay. Fox News versus MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, BuzzFeed, Huffington Post. And they're complaining about it. And they convinced you that the boogeyman was Fox News. NPR was more left-wing than Fox News, according to this Pew study. They were more extreme than their political extremist boogeyman, who they held out. This is all a lie. In case you need more proof, these headlines, I think the funding matters, I think the history matters, but these headlines are really funny because they're unironic. From NPR, trans inmates need access to gender-affirming care. Pause. Why?
Well, one reason was so they would stop having sex with the female inmates with their male genitalia.
They're still going to have sex with the female inmates, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Just in a different way.
Oh.
They'll still have a smile on their face.
Send me a strap-on.
It's just trans inmates need access to gender-affirming care. And I'm going to continue with more headlines, but let's go through this just for a moment. Okay, so you have NPR, you have public broadcasting who declare themselves a need of the public. We start with the legitimate role of government. Just put yourself really quickly, time warp, okay? Let's go back to Washington, Jefferson, Adams. I hereby answer you. What do you believe is the legitimate role of government, sir? Well, it is, we need public broadcasting. I don't know, 500 million should do the trick. And it is the role of the government to ensure that trans inmates have access to gender-affirming care, and it is reported by said public broadcasting. Even in these lean times of recession, we must keep in mind the necessity of legitimate government, At what point do you say, okay, if you can't cut this shit from the government, you can't cut shit. You can't cut a broadcasting wing that is pushing for, by the way, policy, meaning your taxpayer dollars. Who do you think pays for these prisons? Who do you think is going to pay for gender-affirming care for trans inmates? We are so far off the beam. Let me read you some other headlines. At age 3, transitioning from Jack to Jackie. You're evil. God. You're evil, NPR. You are evil.
You have to think one of the other founders would have piped up, oh, please do say, what is gender-affirming care, sir?
Yes. Well,
and you'd have to describe it.
Let me ask you, Mr. Adams. Which one? What, me? No, I was talking to your brother. What are your thoughts? Yes. Here.
Now, what are your thoughts on chicks with dicks? Personal choice.
No, come on. They would definitely be for letting 3-year-olds cut off their thing when they just found it.
Think about
3-year-olds already had a job feeding the chickens.
They switched their entire morning beverage from tea to coffee because of a tax. You think they'd want NPR to be funded to the tune of $500 million so they could put out propaganda that 3-year-olds can transition? Here's another one. Thinking about non-monogamous relationships, a beginner's guide. How about the end guide, which is don't do it.
It sounds like this headline was written by like vampires.
Yes.
No,
Thinking about orgies and living forever?
Yes. Cult leaders.
It's the Lost Ladyboys. There is no neutral. Nice white people can still be complicit in a racist society. Oh, isn't that brilliant? Using government funding for the propaganda to make no one can disprove it because you can't disprove a negative like this. Look, you are still complicit in a racist society. Well, hold on a second. I don't think I am. I have a black adoptive child, and you wouldn't know. You'd have no way of knowing. Take my word for it because we get $500 million from the government to tell you that. Well, checkmate.
Plus, it was written by a white person, so you can trust it.
Yes, exactly.
And to prove that they don't care about meritocracies at all, remember they tried to get their hooks in AM radio?
Yeah.
They couldn't pull an audience, and they thought it was unfair.
Yep, the left. Well, because what they did is they said AM radio, said Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, we need the fairness. We need to provide equal time, as though NPR was neutral, right? Now, if you actually looked at it, it was disproportionate time to NPR and all the other news outlets, just like you saw with MSNBC, CNN, right? NPR, they are one and the same, but they point to Fox News. They vilify you for being open about your point of view. They lie about it. I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're, just don't lie about it. NPR has been lying for about half a century at this point.
AM radio was dead. There was nothing happening there. That landscape was over, and conservatives built it back up to the tune of many, many, many millions in that audience.
Yep.
Rush is really responsible for it.
They couldn't stand to see one person with a dissenting point of view. Hey, he took a dead medium, Rush Limbaugh, and he made it something entirely by himself at that moment in time. If you can't handle that, oh, that's right, it's Pravda. You want to completely eliminate political opposition. This brings us to the new CEO that Berliner was complaining about. And by the way, first off, before I go through any of this, shout out to Chris Rufo, who's done an unbelievable amount of legwork on this. I think you can follow him on X at Real Chris Rufo. He did digging through social media, found some old clips, TED Talks. So I know a lot of people are sort of sharing these clips and then uploading their own watermarks to it. I want Mr. Rufo to know that we recognize the amount of work that he's done and we appreciate it. So here's the new CEO, is Catherine Maher, right, for NPR. Now, what is she? She's from a wealthy family. She has multiple university degrees, of course, board seats on a bunch of nonprofits, and she was at Wikimedia, which is associated there with Wikipedia. So let's look at what she believes. In complaining about the criticism, right, from this man, he writes a column saying, hey, I think that we've gone around the bend here. There's no intellectual diversity. I think that NPR is becoming relatively extreme. She says, I can't. Her response is, as a weak woman would, not all women, this is a weak woman. When a woman goes, just because of identity, how dare you? Oh, you hear that? That's the sound of not having an argument. Don't care about your tits. So what beliefs does this woman hold, CEO of NPR, that gets $500 million in government funding? Well, she thinks that the First Amendment is a challenge to policing speech.
The number one challenge here that we see is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around.
Now, keep in mind, this brave woman who speaks truth to power, it makes it the First Amendment makes it challenging to find out where misinformation comes from.
She said bad information. She did not say misinformation.
Bad information.
She said bad information, which means it not good, not mine.
Right, exactly.
Bad.
We have some very clear examples of that when she was at Wikimedia. For example, bad information was coming from whistleblowers in China who disappeared forever. When they said, this didn't come from someone eating a bat sandwich. It came from a lab named preemptively.
after the virus. They said that's
Before the virus.
and who did she go to? Well, yeah, I know some preemptive and kind of minority reporting,
it's funny, yeah.
but she said no, and we had to get rid of this. And who did she consult with? The government. No vested interest in ensuring that you don't know of their lie to you, or let's remove lie, that they were wrong. Government came out. Official line came from a wet market, bats. He had people in China saying, no, it didn't. He had scientists saying, no, it didn't. When this woman was there at Wikimedia during COVID, she made sure that was disinformation. Why? Consulted with the government. Thank God with the government and the funding, you can bypass that challenging First Amendment.
Which government? Because I think Donald Trump was president at that time.
Yeah, she did it before and then after Donald Trump. And at that point, you're not dealing with Donald Trump, right? That's the swamp. You're dealing with the Faucis of the world. You're dealing with the CDC.
The deep state I was told did not exist.
Yes, did not exist. The WHO, who don't acknowledge that Taiwan even exists. It's a figment of your imagination. That's how you determine what is objective. And of course, who's paying you. You think, and this, we'll get to Donald Trump in a second, because boy, does it make it clear when you look at just the political candidates. Here's another one of her points of view. All references available at louderwithcreditor.com, lest you think that I'm not including context. She sees the truth. Now, some people have said that journalism is the pursuit of truth. Well, the good news is NPR sees the truth as a distraction.
For our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. We acknowledge there are many different truths. And so in the spirit of that, I'm certain that the truth exists for you and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth.
I am sorry for what I'm about to say. I don't like her. And this is the beauty of what the left does. And I will say this, it's kind of like the greatest trick the devil's ever pulled is convincing that he doesn't exist, right? Convincing the world he doesn't exist. That's what the left does with their biases. And they start with something foundational that unfortunately people want to embrace because it's a Hallmark card and it sounds good. I'm sure you have many truths. Nope, that's wrong. I was watching Dirty Dancing a while ago. And at one point, the girl, not Juliette Lewis, but
you're gonna let that slide? Okay, all right. Watching Dirty Dancing.
I like an underdog story.
Okay.
Plus, you never took me to the Catskills.
That's right.
How else am I going to see the weirdest looking people in America? Well, she says to her
they
dad,
all look like Jackie Mason. I don't know why that is.
Or Milton Berle, in that movie.
Do you remember in that part of the Declaration of Independence, or was it the Declaration of Independence, or is it the preamble, or where they say we hold many truths to be self-made up?
Yes.
I don't remember which document that is, but somebody can probably help me.
You know the thing.
Well, she starts with that. Many of you, you all have different truths. Okay, I'll bring this. This is foundational to where we are now. Where you go, how did we go this far? I was watching Dirty Dancing, and she says to her dad when he's upset about her doing something, she says, "You're my dad, and if you love me, you have to love all of me." Wrong. That's one of the most corrosive ideas that we see in today's society. What does that mean? Hey, if you love someone, hey, women, you love a man, okay, but he doesn't shower much. Do you have to love that about him? Or do you tell him, get your ass in the shower?
Get your ass in the shower.
The idea that if you don't love everything about me, you don't love me. What is that actually saying? I'm perfect. There's no need for self-improvement. I am God. I've put myself on the altar. I'm perfect. I'm God. You better accept it, or you don't love me, and I'll get the rest of the world to love me. I'm perfect the way I am. You are not perfect the way you are. You are flawed. You are sinful. And by the way, you are to improve yourself every single day. That's what you are called to do as a human being. Same thing here. We have many truths. No, you don't. There is objective truth. Now, there's a process. That's why we use the Socratic method here to try and get to the truth. And sometimes that's difficult, especially in the modern era of statistics and, yes, fake news. But we do have to start foundationally with there is truth, and that's what we are seeking. When you start off with, well, any truth can be just as true, that's how you go to what? And children can transition because their truth is they believe that they're a girl. And you see headlines from NPR about 3-year-old Jack turning into Jackie. You want to know where it starts? Let me tell you where it starts as far as abortion all the way up until and including birth period. If you love me as a woman, you love all of me and everything about me. Lie. Correct it there. You know what? Truth is subjective. Lie. You address it there and start fighting like hell at that point, guess what? You don't get to 3, 6, 8-year-olds transitioning or babies being left in waste paper baskets who've survived abortions. Or you don't get to $500 million in funding for propaganda broadcasting like NPR so that they can get your children to transition and actively lobby for that kind of policy. You don't get that far if you say, no, wait, there's a legitimate role of government. That's beyond it. No, wait, you're not perfect. You have a lot of flaws. No, wait, there is objective truth. They are brilliant in laying down these foundational, just these cliches, these catchphrases that people accept. And I see conservatives accept them because it makes them feel good in the moment. It's evil. I'm perfect the way I am. That's evil. Everyone's truth is equal. That is evil. Sounds good. You believe it, you're following evil. Here's another example of what she believes. She says free and open knowledge. Actually, and this is brilliant because it's foundational in ensuring that they never have to debate their ideas. Free, open knowledge, open discussion, it actually reinforces racist power structures.
I have come to the opinion and the perspective that free and open was a way of looking at the world that was inherently limited relative to what we were trying to achieve. Free and open has the best of intentionality, but in the end, what free and open often ended up doing, and particularly in the case of Wikipedia, was really recapitulating many of the same power structures and dynamics that exist offline prior to the advent of the internet.
Talk about useless word salad from a useless person.
While still holding the idea that she is smarter than everybody in every room.
I know.
For sure.
I know.
That's you know how you know, because they want to be able to talk down to everybody. Go like, you guys, you can't handle the truth.
Right.
We should have the truth. Don't seek it. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
It's you simple-minded, dumb, idiot Americans. It's so you can't handle it. Let us tell you our truth.
Yes, we are the arbiters of truth. And by the way,
and people they like this.
Yeah.
They want this? Mm-hmm. You want to be insulted like that on a daily basis by a condescending bitch like this? Sorry, that was...
No, it's not. It's completely called for.
Talk about privilege. Did you see that resume?
Yeah, I know.
My goodness.
Talk about privilege.
Starting on third base.
And they tell you, and by the way,
to home.
We're looking out for you. We're looking out for you. We're going to make you aware of the corrupt corporate interests in media. 500 mil, the taxpayer? Yeah. No, we don't have any strings attached. Hey, we need people like this show deplatformed. That's why they've actually gone after Mug Club. We rely on your support. They want to eliminate your ability to support the kind of content creators that you want. Why? Because only they should exist. 500 million in government funding. And let's go to her Twitter. It's just also like I thought maybe this was sort of a Borat thing for an unlikable feminist. Because these are her actual tweets. We make the references available. The nice thing is I'm a woman, so, quote, venture capitalist. Twitter will ignore me entirely. So, exclamation mark. So she literally writes like, so.
Wow.
America is addicted to white supremacy, and that's the real issue. Oh, that's the real issue, Catherine.
You sit on your pedestal of supremacy.
Why did she write it all in parentheses?
I don't.
That doesn't make any sense.
Why did she dot her eyes with hearts?
Is she quoting somebody?
She's adorable.
That's white supremacy. Well, not only, she didn't say that, hey, there's maybe some systemic racism. She said, America is addicted to white supremacy, and that is not a real issue, not an issue. That is the real issue. Good thing she sits on a pedestal of $500 million in government funding, because a lot of you Americans may think that the real issue is, I don't know, the ability to feed your family, the ability to make decisions on your own, the ability to read the kind of content and pursue the truth in a way that is unbiased. Freedom, your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, record inflation. You may think that those are some of the real issues. No, there's only one real issue, the real issue, and that is not white supremacy. It's America's addiction to white supremacy. If you question it, good luck, because she'll work hand in hand with the government and big tech to have you silenced. Here's another one. Airline business class demographics are such a pet peeve of mine. In the lounge and on. First off, that means the bitch was in the lounge.
Yeah, I know. Every bit of this is her being inside. Just because you have racism, just because you're addicted to meth doesn't mean everyone's addicted to meth.
Airline business class demographics are such a pet peeve of mine.
By the way, I go in there with gym shorts and a t-shirt with stains on it.
Nice.
And I use their showers. I paid for it. It's $500. Anyone can pay for it. It's $500.
Good for you, as you should. Their curtain's not going to stop you.
I'm a scumbag. I'm in there too, baby.
It's not a force field. There are no plasma cannons. Oh, no, curtain. I'm taking a dump. Talk about privilege. Airline business class demographics are such a pet peeve of mine. Oh, okay. I get it. You're talking about the stresses that come with air travel. For most Americans, not you, their pet peeve is being shuttled like cattle to the back of coach where they have a beautiful view overlooking the stall and have to avoid a flurry of Spirit Airlines / World Star hip hop fists at the terminal. I'm so sorry that the Amex Black Lounge was so rude to you. In the lounge and on the plane, usually 80% male, usually white.
That's not true. The lounge is full of people that are not male and white. They work at the bar, or they or they refill the eggs, and
or they're her.
I'm kidding. But seriously, like, just you think that airlines are going, no, you can't buy this ticket,
right?
No, they just want your money. They don't care whether you're white or male or.
It's just, but that's her pet peeve. That's what really gets her goat. Hey, go ask a goat farmer what gets his goat. Maybe you'll learn about your privilege.
Yeah.
Such a limousine liberal.
I know.
Yes. Oh my God!
She also tweeted this: that COVID bivalent booster is a marvel, and I'm so damn glad I know I'm going to feel better tomorrow. So we also know that she has no idea how fucking boosters work. Even the people selling them don't say, well, the good news is you're going to feel right as rain tomorrow. The best case scenario that they're going to give you, outside of you might feel a little bit off for a couple of days, is I don't know. I think you'll probably be all right. No one is telling you that you're going to feel better from a booster. But no one can tell her that because she, remember, she's established foundationally.
She knows how therapeutics work.
Yeah, I don't think she does.
I think what she's really upset about is that she doesn't get to see these minorities. She wants to see them like they're zoo animals or something. It's like, put them on display for me at the lounge and the business class. Lady, if you want to see some black people, just go to McDonald's. There's one in every airport, I promise.
Oh my word!
She's that fascinated by you, racist hag.
Yes.
Sorry.
But these poor folks that donate to get their tote bag, and if they just knew that she makes, I think it's $650 a year plus, and 93% of the donations go to the Democrat Party, you think people would be as generous? I don't think so.
No.
They knew they were getting $500 million a year.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd probably see a lot less coming in from white people, considering that you said they are addicted to white supremacy and they are the real issue and you don't want them in airport lounges. I don't know how many of them are donating to NPR, but I'm willing to bet that if I go to Spanish Harlem, I'm not going to find a very long donor list. Here she is declaring her support for Democrats and, of course, against Donald Trump repeatedly on Twitter. But let me just lay this out for you here, because, again, I just don't want you to miss the point and think that, oh, man, journalism has gotten bad. No, there's never been objective journalism in this country. And even if you want to make the argument, certainly not NPR. NPR is an active threat to your freedom. I'll say that again in case you try to accuse me of being hyperbolic here. NPR is an active threat to your freedom as an American. Because let's be clear here. She's railing against Donald Trump. I don't know if you know this. Donald Trump actually wanted NPR funding to go to zero, the appropriate amount. So she's actively railing against the candidate for one political party who doesn't believe that NPR is a legitimate role of government. The other party promises to fund them. So what we have is a long and storied history of one party exclusively promising to fund and then funding to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Public broadcasting, who then go out and do the bidding of this party to the tune of 92% if you actually look at their own funding. And then if you look at these headlines, you look at their political support, entirely 100% beholden to the Democrat Party. They purge their company from anyone who has any other type of political persuasion. They eliminate the ability. Not only are they not objective and funded by the government, but she told you that free and open dialogue is actually counterproductive. So they now have established that, hold on a second, we have the cover of government, the Democratic Party, to ensure that we never have to debate our ideas. We simply get to spout them from the pulpit because the government approves them and big tech works alongside of us. And I'm going to actively campaign against the party and the man who doesn't want to fund me. They are not kind of incentivized to lie to you. NPR is required. Their business model is predicated. Their spreadsheets are predicated on how they convince you to accept progressivism. And it always has been. That is an active threat. That is an active threat to you, the American public. Even more, it's an active threat to It really is an active threat to the democratic republic that we have here in the United States. And it's an active threat to anyone who actually simply wants to present opposing points of view. This is terrifying when you think about it. And they are amidst their death throes, and they are going to get more aggressive, and they're going to have more meetings with the White House press corps, whoever it is, to ensure that you are silenced. Think about that. And you want to know how this ends up? You want to know how this ends up? Canada. It's exactly what happened. Trudeau, son of Fidel Castro, promised when he was running, promised more funding to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, right? He was running and he said, I'm going to give you more money. And the Conservative Party wanted to reduce, of course, funding to the CBC. Guess who got the favorable coverage from the CBC?
Polls shifted.
Yes. He got the favorable coverage. He won. Look at Canada right now. The country's in complete disarray. The guy wouldn't be able to get more than 30% of the vote, even though he legalized weed across the country and had a bump. People who thought they were liberal have become so disenfranchised right now because they were lied to. But guess what? The damage is done. It's too late right now for Canada. They can correct course a little bit, but not enough. You want to know how it ends up if a place like NPR isn't defunded? PBS? You end up with Canada. It's the closest example that you can have to the United States, and nothing is going well there right now. You can look at their housing crisis. You can look at the healthcare system, which, by the way, of course, NPR has pushed for socialized healthcare. Let's look at every single policy. Socialized healthcare, NPR's pushed for it. Increased tax, NPR's pushed for it. Rescinding the Bush tax cuts, NPR's pushed for it. Hyatt corporate tax, NPR's pushed for it. Sandra Fluke, you remember that? Free birth control, NPR's pushed for it. Remember Hobby Lobby provided only, I believe, 16 out of 21 forms of birth control, but from their religious viewpoint, they had a crisis of conscience and wouldn't provide the remaining 3 or 4. Don't quote me on that. It was somewhere around there. NPR talked about them being corrupt. NPR talked about it being fascism. Hey, the election, Russia collusion hoax, NPR pushed for it. Suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, NPR pushed for it. The questioning election results should be impermissible on social media. NPR pushed for it. COVID maybe came from a lab. Nope, can't talk about that. It only came from a bat sandwich. NPR pushed for it. Lockdowns maybe don't work. No, lockdowns are the way to go. NPR pushed for it. Hey, the vaccines, first up when Donald Trump was president, Operation Warp Speed. Would you take the vaccine if the vaccine came out when Donald Trump was president? Just like Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. Absolutely, I would not take it. NPR pushed for it. Then when it was made available and Joe Biden was, the former vice president sitting in office saying, you need to get vaccines, you need to get boosters. NPR pushed for it. Wait a second, the VAERS system has seen more complications than we've seen at any point in our lifetime. Hold on a second. Could there be more complications with experimental mRNA injection? No. It's safe. It's been tested, even though it hasn't. NPR pushed for it. Seeing record number of men under the age of 30 with myocarditis? No, let's silence it. NPR pushed for it. Change the algorithm so that people don't become more radicalized. Well, I misspoke. Have the ability to see dissenting points of view on YouTube, TikTok, and or Facebook. Yeah, let's get rid of that. NPR pushed for it. Donald Trump's a fascist. NPR pushed for it. Sleep with a porn star bitch who said that we didn't even sleep together. NPR pushed for it. He's being indicted for something that would at best be an absolute misdemeanor right now. NPR pushes for it. You can go and read it today. You have a guy come out and say, I'm a liberal, and I'm telling you that NPR has pushed for all of this. What do? Push for him to be fired. It's the enemy of a free people. We're beholden to viewers like you. Incredibly grateful. Don't know how long it lasts? Thank you. LouderWithCredit.com/MuckClub. If you're watching on Rumble right now, there. Click that button. You can continue. It's Chat Thursday. If you're on YouTube, you're probably NPR fans. You can piss off.